Hello, and thank you for tuning into this forum for the candidates vying to serve on the City Council for the City of Mankato. My name is Patrick Baker, and I am the Vice President for Greater Mankato Growth and will be serving as the moderator. For those of you that don't know about us, Greater Mankato Growth serves as the Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development organization serving our region. Greater Mankato Growth strives to serve as a nonpartisan information intermediary between candidates and the voters on issues impacting not only business, but the overall vitality of the region at large. Elections are one of the most important and effective ways citizens can make their voices heard by providing our members, as well as the broader community, access to the information presented in these candidate forums. We hope to enable them to make informed voting decisions. In addition to this forum, Greater Mankato Growth is also hosting a number of other forums throughout the month of October for candidates for federal, state, and local office. You can view the full lineup of these forums and view links to video recordings once available at greatermankato.com/forum. In addition, Greater Mankato Growth recently published our online candidate profiles. This website allows voters to view information submitted directly by candidates running in our region, including biographical information, as well as their response to a questionnaire. The public can view these candidate portals at greatermankato.com/candidates. Finally, before we begin, I'd like to pay a special thanks to KTV for partnering with us to produce these forums and hosting us in their studio. Now on to the forum. The format for our forum is as follows. Each candidate will be allowed 90 seconds to make an opening and closing remarks. Following their opening remarks, we'll proceed to Q&A. Candidates will be allowed 90 seconds to respond to questions. Any follow-up questions or discussion will be at my discretion. Questions may come from one of two sources. First, questions selected by the moderator, and two, questions submitted in advance from the public. Now it is my pleasure to introduce the candidates running to serve on the City Council for the City of Mankato. In Ward 3, Fardousa Jama and Mark Frost. In Ward 5, Jessica Hatanpa and Tyler Meihak-True. And Karen Foreman, who is running in Ward 1, was unable to join us today. Now we'll begin with opening statements. And Tyler, we will start with you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tyler Meihak-True. I just want to begin by saying, first of all, thank you so much for tuning in and participating in local elections. As you know as much as we do, this is very important, and all of us, I'm sure, really appreciate any support. About myself, I was born and raised here in Mankato, Minnesota. I'm proud to say I'm a third-generation graduate of Mankato West High School. I studied city planning for 5 years at MSU and in the country of Ghana, and at Nelson Mandela University in South Africa. Throughout college, I worked as a river guide at Bent River Outfitter. Since I know this area like the back of my hand, I was introduced to many valuable and important connections there in the community, and I am truly grateful for that. I'm currently working as a real estate agent on the George Masad team at True Real Estate. And I guess I just want to make it clear that I'm not running for City Council to get my name out there or promote my brand. I'm running for the same reason that all of us are. And that's because I cherish this community. I'm passionate about our success. And I think it's important that we elect a council member who is fully immerse themselves in the concepts of wise city planning, and that is why I'm running. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Tyler. And Jessica, your opening statement.
My name is Jessica Hatanpa. I grew up in North Mankato, graduated from Mankato West High School, then graduated from Minnesota State University with a degree in Marketing and Business Administration. I started with my first career at Greater Mankato Growth, working in the business community before I went to work in insurance almost 14 years ago. I get to work every day with my husband. We have 3 children, 6, 5, and 2, and I have 2 stepchildren, 20 and 18. I am very active in the community and always have been. I'm currently on the board for the Educare Foundation, supporting Mankato schools, and Junior Achievement, which I love going into the schools and being able to teach economic and financial decision-making to our young people. I decided to run for City Council because I think that it's important that you understand the community, that you're involved and you know a lot of the leaders and decision makers and can help guide the city through the next 20 years.
Great. Thank you, Jessica. Mark, your opening statement.
And my name is Mark Frost. I am running for city council again. I've been on city council for 16 years. Was born and raised here in Mankato. Went to Loyola High School, graduated from there. Went to MSU, took pre-pharmacy at MSU. Went to the University of Wyoming as a pharmacy student. Moved from Laramie, Wyoming to Boise, Idaho, my first job in Idaho. We stayed there for about 7 years. It was a beautiful place, but we missed Mankato. Loved living here. Great place to raise children. And we had 3 sons that were very important to us. Those 3 sons all graduated from West High School, and 1 graduated from MSU. It's been a wonderful gig being on the city council. I can't complain. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of taking care of things, but the fact of the matter is it's a city that, like these 2 people next to me, are very passionate about. It's been wonderful to me and my family. We love living here. My wife is a phenomenal person and just would not think of living here. We've tried thinking about going down south in the winter. That's not going to work, and so we want to be here, be around our children and our grandchildren. But we're very passionate about making Mankato a better place to live, and that has always been my issue on the city council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And Fardousa, your opening statement.
Hello, my name is Fardousa Jama. I want to clarify, the last time we had our interview here, our forum, I came to Mankato in 1997, not 1995. The nerves got the best of me. We moved to Mankato, Minnesota in 1995. I grew up in Mankato, graduated from East High School, left for about 5 years, went to Virginia, worked for Amtrak, and decided that you can't take small town out of the girl into a big city. So I came back to Mankato, Minnesota. In 2014, I started a nonprofit organization because there was a need in our community throughout my volunteerism with the Salvation Army, with the Red Cross that I worked with, and things like that, motivated me to start a nonprofit that exists here in town. Through those lenses, I got to meet amazing, incredible people who live in our communities, who have different voices and different visions for Mankato. I chose to run for city council because I feel that I can be a bridge builder into the millennials, because I'm a millennial myself. I also believe in new visions that we need in our city council, such as our workforce, maintaining our workforce here, our small businesses and developing, and also great other things that I want to really talk about as we get going on into discussion. I feel that the city council needs new voices and new ideas to be presented so that we can flourish and that we can move Mankato forward and have a great path.
Great, thank you. Well, let's get into some questions, and Fardousa, we'll start with you, and then we'll go down the row this way. You know, we're in some toxic political times, and when you are out door knocking, I'd be curious, you know, when people ask, what impelled you to run for public office at a time when it's maybe not, you know, the most enjoyable of processes to run for public office right now? When they ask, what really made you want to get up, go out and door knock, put your name out there for election, what do you tell them?
Well, Patrick, at the beginning of this campaign was not easy for me. I thought it was going to be, you know, exciting, something new. Nobody goes and says, I'm going to put myself in front of the limelight and put myself out there. It was really hard for me at the beginning. I encountered some hatred towards me because I wear my faith proudly, you know. But what really motivated me to run, as I said on Z99, I don't know if you listened to the interview, was when the Muslim ban happened, or the travel ban happened. And I went to our local coffee shop and I saw the disconnect in our leadership on how we can activate, stand up for minorities in our community. And the best way this leader in our community said was to throw the hijab on. That's how you show solidarity. To me, that showed a disconnect of what I'm facing and how a lot of us who have no voice in Mankato feel powerless. And what you're telling allies is to throw a hijab on, and that's what's gonna make it okay again. And that's not okay. We need to have conversations. We need to sit down and have a dialogue and get to know, because a lot of us live in the fear of unknown, especially in the political system, what's happening. I'm not a politic. I'm just an average girl who's the next door neighbor who wants to make a difference in her community. And if that starts a conversation, I think I did a pretty good job.
Great. Thanks for that perspective. Mark, what impels you to run for another term?
Pretty much what, excuse me, pretty much what Fardousa is talking about is we have extended out on the city council and Mankato in general to try to be as inclusive as we can be, to make sure that people that come here stay here. We need people to be in this community. We're lucky because we're one of the few rural communities that's actually growing in population, okay? If you go to a Greater Minnesota conference, that's the first thing you're going to hear is we're losing population. We can't get businesses to move here because we don't have any child care, so we can't get people to come to work for us. So we have been aggressively trying to we're at the university, we're at Bethany, we're at South Central, trying to make sure that people are aware that we have jobs here. And if anybody has any question about that, just drive up and down Madison Avenue. You're going to see a lot of help wanted signs. Those help wanted signs and everything else are driving up wages in Mankato, so we are getting people to come here. But the fact of the matter is we can always do a better job. We all know that. The city council has been very aware of the fact that there are people that think that government tells you what to do and you better do what you're told. We don't want any part of that, period. We want to be inclusive. We want to be growing the economy here, basically, is a big thing, and that part of that is public safety. A lot of things that go with that are getting people just to come here and stay here. And being a pharmacist, I see this all the time at Mayo and Mankato Clinic. New doctors coming into town, and the minute they've got some experience, they're gone. We need to make sure that they stay here, and we've got a quality of life where they feel comfortable having their family here.
Great. Thanks, Mark. Jessica, why are you running?
I decided to run when I found out that Trudy Kunkel wasn't going to run for Ward 5, I thought that I could fill a voice that's maybe open in the younger parent, the young family, children in the school systems. I'll have 3 small kids going to school. I understand childcare. I work with so many groups and nonprofits and listen to the struggles of people from a wide variety of demographics, and I think that I'm an approachable person. I'm a common sense thinking person and really can listen, and people feel comfortable talking with me. And in the door knocking, in the going to community events, I've had such great conversations with so many people, and again, people maybe that I wouldn't have otherwise interacted with, and gotten phone calls and emails, Facebook messages from people that I don't know, but that have talked to their neighbor and said, wow, you really made an impression on them, and they feel good about talking to you and you representing us. And that's what I want to be, is the approachable voice for Ward 5.
Great, thanks. Tyler, how about you?
Well, I'm running because I'd like to ensure that things are done right. As I said earlier, I've studied city planning for 5 years. And that's what I tell people when I go door knocking. I want to ensure that things are done right in this community. Personally, I'm running because I believe that life is finite. We have a limited time here on earth, and I think we should try to accomplish as much as we possibly can with the time that we have. And when I say accomplish things, I don't mean win an election. I mean getting things done once I'm on the council. We have a prosperous, thriving community, but we need to ensure that no one is left behind. We need childcare, we need adequate housing, we need to retain our college graduates, we need to make sure our rent is not very as expensive, and we need to be careful to plan our developments in the wisest way possible. And I would just like to be a voice on the council who ensures that, that we do all those things.
Great, thank you. So obviously when you get to council, there's going to be a lot of issues that you deal with, but I'm curious, is there one particular area where you think you may want to focus or spend some time or potentially bring some new ideas forward, kind of 1 or 2 issues that you really want to dive into if you were to get elected. And I think Jess will start with you, and then we'll go to Tyler and then Fardousa and Mark, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
So Jess, any issues you want to tackle when you get to council?
I think the biggest issue facing Mankato is the umbrella of growth, and everything that's kind of already been mentioned that falls under that: affordable childcare, affordable housing, most importantly, infrastructure, police safety, schools and education. Do we have enough room for this expanding and growing community? And it's great to be an economic center and bring in new businesses, and how do we attract and retain new people? I think there's other communities, or most communities around the United States, are facing similar issues, especially in a rural community, and looking at the options and what other communities have done. 2 weeks ago, we were on a leadership trip with 70 delegates from Mankato to Arkansas to really look at what their community is doing, and brought back some great ideas for housing, or more importantly, just being able to look outside of Mankato at options that might solve some of our problems. And so I think that's overall growth would be the biggest obstacle.
Great. Tyler, any particular issues you want to dive into if you get elected?
Yes, I'd like to encourage local investment to solve local challenges, and I think that is how we're going to attract outside investment as well. I don't hear enough talk about sustainability, sustainable development. I think we need to invest in more solar energy and as well as water quality. In particular, I'm mainly interested in reviving Old Town. We have an entire block that's on the National Registrar of Historic Places that's mainly sitting empty because there's nowhere to park and cars are going past 50 miles an hour. I'd welcome anyone to walk down Old Town and try crossing the street at Mom and Pop's and try to get across to Toontown. You'll find that it's impossible. We need to invest in more stoplights, crossing guards, pedestrian safety. A lot of people travel to Stillwater, they travel to Red Wing, Northfield, because they want that experience of walking around in Old Town. And although growth is inevitable and we're growing towards Eagle Lake, and that's fine, I think we need to look within and fix up the city that we do have already. We need to fill our empty businesses, fill our empty buildings with local businesses. And I also think Mankato definitely has a potential for a tourism industry. We have the best bike paths every which direction for hundreds of miles, and we have more miles of rivers in Blue Earth County than any other county in the state. I think if Visit Mankato gets that message out there, you'll see an influx of tourism and people walking around Old Town and supporting local businesses.
Okay. Thanks, Tyler. Fardousa.
For me, I love everything you guys said and I completely support, but for me, it is about employment because we are growing in a rapid pace. Our state stenographer for Deed has showed that with the new wave of people that we're having, we need to educate. We need to not only educate but also get job readiness. Right? There's a lot of job wanted, but we don't have good candidates that can fill these positions. A lot of generation is aging out of the workforce, and we don't have enough people coming in. We also have to remind ourselves of what's happening up in the metropolitan area. As you're aware of, St. Paul is passing a $15 minimum wage for the city of St. Paul. Minneapolis is soon to follow, and so are other small towns that are going to follow as well, which is going to drive our workforce down to the cities, which we're already fighting to keep them here. And we need to have incentives. So for me, it is essential looking at ways that we can retain the people that we have incentives that we can have in place, working with small businesses, redeveloping our downtown area is amazing, because once we start doing those and putting those concretes, we can have more families moving in because there'll be sustainability for jobs, more qualified people that we can look into. My also other biggest issue that I want to tackle is internships for college students, because a lot of them leave because they find higher wages up in the Twin Cities. But here, it's rarely can you find an internship that pays. If we can have a lot more businesses getting involved, and again, opening up that dialects to that opportunity to network and bring those bridges on, I think we could do amazing things with our college students, getting more people here to work, and a way we can attract them, but sustainability. right? That's my biggest thing for me.
Right. Mark, how about you?
Yeah, sustainability is huge. What Tyler was talking about on Riverfront is something that we're actually working on right now. And hopefully that will help somewhat to keep those buildings full and occupied and get a lot of people walking around down there. I remember years ago, before the Civic Center was built, basically, and most of the retail had moved up to Upper Mankato, River Hills and the Mankato Mall up there. And I mean, downtown was just a complete ghost town. It was pathetic, it really was. It was pretty sad. City put in the Civic Center, and all of a sudden we've got a lot of businesses that are fairly prosperous around there. What we need to do is keep moving down, just like Tyler said, trying to get that taken care of. And we've got programs in place right now, storefront programs that subsidize these people. If you want to come in, you want to start a business down there, we've got a storefront subsidy that will help you get through. Relatively inexpensive. It doesn't give out a lot of money, but the fact of the matter is we give out what we can to keep people growing. We also have relationships with people like GMG and Visit Mankato, and we try to make sure that they're staying active and bringing people into this city, you know. And it's been amazing over the last 15 years that we've gotten the growth that we have gotten. And believe it or not, Riverfront is a little bit better than it used to be. I agree with you that it could be better, but the fact is it's a lot better than it used to be. There are not the constant empty buildings like there used to be. So we need to keep that going. Keep Mankato safe, that's huge for me. That's it, quality of life issues. We've got a lot of quality of life issues. The art walks and stuff like that are something that never existed before I got on City Council. Emmy Frent Center for the Art never existed. Like Jessica went down to the City Leadership Conference down in Bentonville. I've been to 4 of those, and it's amazing how much information you get out of one of those things, okay? And how interesting they are. And you're going to people and cities that are very successful, and it makes you you become enamored with that, and that's what you want to happen here. You want to make sure that Mankato stays, is, and will be a prosperous city.
Great. So Fardousa, you brought up this issue of local cities in Minnesota that are passing their own local ordinances related to workforce, whether that be on minimum wage or on paid time off or sort of paid family leave. I'd be curious to know whether you think that's a good idea for Mankato to pursue policies like that, where we would set our own workforce standards. And we'll start with you and then go down the line.
Well, when we look at the city of Mankato, we have most of the workforce that we have is manufacturing jobs. And those manufacturing jobs already start at $15, $16. I believe it's $16 at the Walmart distribution center. We have those jobs here. It's just getting the workforce to come in and occupy those jobs. Right? Because most of the people are going through temp agency and not directly to the company or the manufacturer or things like that. It's a great idea for $15, but we're not quite there yet as a city-oriented law. I don't think we are. But we can put in place and steps and things like that in highlighting jobs that do pay more than $15 an hour in Mankato. There are those jobs here. Also, with the sick pay leave, I'm a person who, if I get sick, I would love to have some time off, but we also have to look at what harm it can do to our small businesses. Our small businesses is contributing to our economy and on our growth. And I don't want to put more strain on what they already have going, because some people are only running their store 4 to 5 people. And if we mandatory and say you have to pay sick leave, that's revenue that's not going to be coming in, that's going to be not be covered. I say yes, but we put a limit. So I say, for example, if you have 15 employees or more, then yes, you should be able to pay your employees sick leave, especially like Walmart, Target, or big brands like that. Yes, we should have that, because if, for God's sake, if my child, I don't have a child, but if I did have a child is sick, I would want that to be in place. So I'm yes, but let's put things around it so that we do protect our small businesses and have conversation with our small businesses involved before any of those decisions are made.
Mark, your thoughts on this issue?
My thoughts on that are, I guess I'm more of a free market guy, and I guess I'm seeing that happen here in Mankato. The lack of, let's put it this way, the overwhelming number of job openings that we have, and I wouldn't call it overwhelming, I should have used a different word, but we've got a lot of job openings, and they're being filled. And the fact that we have some shortage of people is actually driving up wages, okay, on the average in Mankato. The Walmart warehouse, I know they just did an upgrade on theirs because they were having, their biggest problem is they've got turnover, okay? I mean, I don't know how many people want to work in a freezer, but that's what it is. It's just a giant freezer out there. And they've got a lot of turnover. I heard close to 80% at one time, but it's not that anymore. But they have jacked their wages up based on the fact that they wanted more people to come. Most of these businesses are not stupid. They do respond to situations where they need people and they can't find them, okay? So I guess I'm more of a free market guy, you know, and the $15 an hour, I think Walmart just jacked theirs up to like $18 to $20 an hour. And we've got other manufacturing plants. You know, if it'll be interesting to see when the Federated moves here from Owatonna. Federated is a huge company that does a lot of business. They're going to move 200 jobs to Mankato. And those are going to be very good paying jobs. They're going to be like $40 to $70 to $100,000 a year jobs. And I mean, the opportunities in Mankato are getting to the point that it's just become a kind of an epicenter of economics right down here. And that's always been kind of GMG's issue, is that's what they're trying to drive. This becomes an economic epicenter of southern Minnesota. And I guess that's what's happening because if you take a look around and see what's happening, it's very good for the people in Mankato, middle class, upper class, lower class, whatever. The wages going up are a good thing. I understand that. And I hope it continues.
Jessica, your thoughts?
I think anything that increases the standard of living is a wonderful thing. However, before I would say that I'm for or against this specific issue, I think there's a lot more conversation and a lot more research that needs to be done to see if this truly would work in our community. Because what I don't want to have happen is to increase wages and lose jobs. Have the people that you're trying to help not be able to find employment, to have the people who you're increasing their wages that have children that are already struggling with affordable childcare. Now those childcare workers, for instance, would make $15 an hour, so the cost of childcare goes up, potentially the cost of rent. For example, ACES in Mankato, that's the after-school childcare program that a lot of families utilize on non-school days, after school. That's kind of a minimum wage paying job. And if wages increase and that becomes unsustainable for the school district, that affects a lot of families. So I think there's the need to work with the private sector and really find out what would be the impact to childcare, to housing, to things like those, so that we don't exponentially increase problems that we're already trying to fix.
Great. Tyler?
I think there's a balance between looking out for the needs of the workers and also realizing that the business owners have their own set of problems that they have to deal with as well. One thing's for sure is that I would look at all the facts if this ever came up. I would ask the citizens of Ward 5 what they believe is the right thing to do. And I can assure you that I would vote with my better judgment and with a good conscience. I'd also like to inspire and encourage people to realize that they can go out and start their own business, and that they can determine their own reality or put their future into the palm of their own hands. That's what my family did when we started True Real Estate a few years ago. It was nothing more than an idea that only was in our minds. And if you really believe in something, especially here in Mankato, you're in a great environment where you can go out on your own and make your dreams come true.
Great, thanks. So I do want to talk a little bit about ethnic diversity in Mankato, and as you are probably aware, that is steadily increasing. What does this mean for our community, and what, if anything, should the city be doing to ensure these new residents are able to thrive in Mankato? And Mark, we'll start with you on this one.
Well, we're already reaching out, try to get with Bukata Hayes as the diversity council head. We're trying to get everybody involved. We don't have to have a diversity council in Mankato. You know, that is nothing that's not mandatory or anything like that. But we've done it for probably the last at least 10 to 15 years. And that's exactly what that's in place for, is to try to reach out and touch people so that they know that we're an accepting community that wants them to be here, and they've got opportunities here. If you want to go out and work, get a job, that's not a problem. If you want to work your way through the workforce up as you go, we've got the university, we've got Bethany College, we've got SCTC, doing a lot of different types of, a lot of people doing a lot of different types of education so that you can be a HVAC guy, heating, venting, air conditioning, a plumber, an electrician, or you can be a city planner type person. There's a lot of opportunities here. It's just a matter of making sure that they're aware of what those opportunities are, and that's exactly what we've done with our reaching out over the last 15 years.
Great. Fardousa, how do you view this issue of welcoming and doing a better job of welcoming diversity in our community?
We need to do better. Our city should reflect the population that lives here. It should be shown in our city council, in our city administration, in being inclusive. I live in a community that I thought was welcoming, and I had a reality check to my disillusion, and that have woken something inside me that says we need to do better, because what we have right now, people that are coming in are quick to say, nope, this is too much, I can't deal, and leave. I think the Diversity Council is doing amazing. I think the trainings and everything that they're doing is great, but that is at the local area right now, but not all around the whole community. We could always do better and we could thrive, but our city should reflect the people who live here in order for us to be more inclusive and more including everybody to the table.
Okay. Tyler, how about you?
Well, I think the more new people, the better. Well, economically, you'll see that we have more job openings than we have people. So obviously, immigrants fill those roles. But I don't want to just see immigrants working in our manufacturing and factories. I want to see them believing in themselves and going out and starting their own businesses. We definitely have a long way to go in this community as far as tolerance and acceptance goes. And I have no idea what it's like to be an immigrant. I was born and raised here my whole life. But we also have to recognize that I think we have come a long way, and we need to keep building on that.
Great. Jessica?
I remember when the Diversity Council started and watching that program grow from 2 people in the depot building working with us at GMG to what it is now, and all the diversity training that Bukata and his team does. I think it's important work, and I know they're going to continue to do it. The school district provides English as a second language, provides other programming. Our business specifically has been asked to come in and speak with refugees, with newcomers to Mankato, regardless of color or race, and help them understand how insurance works, and they invite other professionals in. I think the communication between the city and new residents, if that's something that can be improved so that they understand opportunities, events, things where they can get more involved and really immerse themselves in Mankato, will truly help them to stay here and become prospering members of Mankato.
Great, thank you. Let's turn to another issue. So in 2016, Mankato residents passed an extension of the local sales tax that included language supporting expansion of our regional recreation facilities and base core infrastructure needs. I suspect that the City Council will be making some decisions on how to spend some of those dollars in the next term. So what will your priorities be when it comes to sales tax and those dollars, and how will you address that as a City Council person? And Tyler, we'll start with you.
I think there's going to be a lot of on-the-job training for any of us other than Mark, who might win this election. This is an issue I would need to be more educated on. I'd like to be a liaison between the government and the people as well. You know, right off the bat, I don't believe in raising taxes unless I can be shown for sure, you know, why that is necessary. Rather than raising taxes, I'd rather reorganize our pie chart of our budget and make sure that resources are being allocated more wisely rather than raise taxes. But if I can be shown that it is absolutely necessary and that it will make our community a better place, I would support that.
Great. Thanks. And just to clarify, the tax is already in place, so it's a matter of what does the city do with those dollars that are coming in. Yep.
Sure.
Yep. Jessica.
So the sales tax, you know, it was partially sold as to provide more amenities, more facilities for our community. North Mankato has made such a strong investment in youth with Caswell, Fallenstein Park, doing their new swimming pool, and I am excited for what Mankato is going to get to build. Again, another thing that I feel like I learned when we were on the leadership trip to Arkansas is their community did a much better job of gathering input first, creating an idea that everyone was behind, and then when they had the money, building it. Not wait until you have the money, start having all these different groups trying to come together to decide, is it going to be a hockey rink, is it going to be indoor turf, is it going to be batting cages, whatever the true needs of the community are. And I think it's exciting that we're going to be able to do some of these things, improvements to the airport levy that's going right now, so it's a lot happening.
Great. Mark, how do you feel this issue?
I mean, this was an extension of a sales tax. It wasn't a new tax, okay? The old one was going to expire. And so far, we've used close to $1 million to get baseball field, I'm trying to think of the name. Franklin Rogers. Going so that, first off, the Moondogs will stay here, but it's a public field. It's not just them. And it's we have opened that up to like Bethany or MSU or anybody who wants to use it. So there's a lot of people that use it besides that. So we're getting our money back on it. Another thing that we get a lot of requests for is indoor facilities during the winter. Would be tennis, hockey, whatever. We've got the hockey, and that has been a big boom to the people. But they want more hockey space. I guess one of the things I've looked at, and again, we need a lot of public input on this. Is a lot of money, so spending it is not an easy thing to do without a lot of public input. But Bethany is going to improve this field, Bethany Field over here, and one of their things over there was possibly putting up an indoor winter facility. Well, why don't we work with them? You know, this KTV that you're talking about right here is a great example of public-private partnerships. This is amazingly well done compared to what it used to be when it was just done through a small government agency in North Mankato. So I would love to see us get together, but that, again, it takes a lot of public input. A lot of the people that are watching this today are going to have to come out and say, hey, I want this to happen. We need this to happen. But again, they're quality of life issues, okay? I want my children to be able to play hockey and not at midnight all the time. You know, that type of thing. So yeah, there's a lot of things to look at here, but we're still spending a lot of money. But it's for quality of life issues, to me, to some extent, it's something that we should be moving forward on.
Great. Fardousa, your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are, for me, is I spend a lot of time in the Twin Cities, and a part of me gets a little jealous that we don't have a lot of the amenities that I do see. For me, I would love to see the city invest something back into our youth, like Jess over here just said, and Mark Frost. I would really love to see an indoor all activities facility. So for example, we have a lot of youth that have asthma or can't be out in the heat, not just in the winter, but be out in the heat, and to have a facility that you can play indoor soccer, or you could play indoor football, or you can have an indoor basketball, gives that option of just having a facility that's sports geared instead of having to go to the YMCA or the renting out the schools, because sometimes they run out of spaces and they go later and later. But if we can have a sports center where they can have all these different activities, that's great. Also looking at our parks, some of our park equipments for our kids could be upgraded a little bit by getting new exciting learning curve equipments that help our small children that are growing up in our neighborhoods. And getting a lot of the public's input is just a few ideas that I have, but I would love to hear from Ward 3 what they would love to see happen to the city.
Great, thank you. So we talked a little bit about, you know, amenities and quality of life. In your ward or sort of citywide, what is your favorite amenity? What is your favorite attribute of the city or of your ward? What gets you most excited? Mark, how about you?
For me, the Civic Center. I love going to hockey games. I love going to the concerts we have in the new area down there. I've been to a number of different events, a wedding, Muslim wedding down there of our next door neighbor. And I mean, it's just phenomenal. I mean, just being able to use it. Plus, in my neighborhood, I've got 5 granddaughters, okay? The parks that we go to, you know, when I'm with them are just, they're just a gas. I mean, the kids love it. There's other kids there all the time. They're playing nonstop. I mean, we didn't build these parks and have them empty. They are there with other people using them, and I mean, it is just phenomenal. I love it. Busher Park next to me out here. We just put in a soccer field out there, and it's, and I mean, people are using it for football, for soccer, baseball, everything. And I just absolutely love these things. I mean, it's just, my grandkids want to come down here. They live in the cities. They live in Savage and in Lakeville. And they want to be down here to some extent, first off for Grammy and Gampa, but secondly, for, you know, because there's things to do and it's fun. And we'll take them out and we'll do stuff with them. And these little parks that we have around the community are something that we've invested in over the years, and they are phenomenal. I mean, the kids love them. So yeah, I mean, first it would be the Civic Center because of all the activity down there. And secondly, it'd be the parks that my grandkids love.
Great. Fardousa, how about you? What's your favorite attribute of the city?
My favorite park that I utilize all the time to host, whether it's Eid celebration or it's just a gathering and coming together, is Highland Park. Highland Park has both the basketball, the volleyball, the little bit of soccer, the playground areas. And I love when we do community activities where when I host a community event, we have 300 to 400 people that come. Just to see the interaction is pretty amazing, and bringing people together. That's one of my favorite. And my other favorite part of Mankato is the beautiful, beautiful sceneries of the river. I love the water. I don't go in it, but I love to watch it. And so going to Sibley Park and Riverfront Park is absolutely my favorite, to just sit out in the rock, to reflect. I love to write poetry. That is absolutely a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place.
Great. Jess, how about you? What's your favorite attribute in the city?
Having 3 kids, anything to do with children. The Children's Museum, I've helped fundraise to move it from the little tiny spot on Cherry Street to what it is now. My children love it. Rasmussen Woods, which is kind of why we chose to live where we do. We have Rasmussen. There's the new park on Stoltzman across from Essex. The new one that's being built on the corner of Pleasant and Stoltzman. We've gotten to watch that go up, and my kids are very excited about that. And Sibley Park, having the animals, the walking paths, the gardens. I think we're very lucky to live in a place where, especially for youth, we have so many great things for them to do. And we have Mount Cato kind of in our backyard, and I'm not a skier, but my kids are, and I'm gonna learn this year. And so hopefully it will become my favorite too.
Good luck. Tyler, how about you?
Were you asking the favorite amenity in our ward or in the entire city?
You pick.
I'll do both. For the city, I love the depot. I love downtown. We're at the Great Bend of the Minnesota River. I love the rivers. We actually have 5 rivers that are flowing north into Mankato, and 1 leaves, which is why water quality is important to me. Sibley Park, Rasmussen Woods are definitely high up on the list. Jess and I are both actually actively trying to get a bike path along Rasmussen Woods. When you drive on Stoltzman Road, I'm reminded every day, you know, how beautiful of an area Rasmussen Woods really is, and I think it's a shame that there's not a bike path there. I hired a concept renderer who did a drawing with the bike path on it, and I sent that off to Paul Vogel with the city, and I sent that to the county as well. It's actually gathering some support and traction to actually hopefully see that come into fruition. So I think we need to capitalize on our bike paths and on our rivers, and I think that will attract more people here and keep them happy here.
Great. So maybe a boring topic, but a really important one. One of the most important things that the city does and city council does is set a budget each year, determine what property taxes ought to be. So how do you approach that as a city council person? Obviously, it's a big city, complex budget. How do you parse out what are the priorities? What are maybe things that are less of a priority? all the while trying to keep a lid on property taxes. So start with you on that one, Jess, and we'll go to Tyler, and then Fardousa and Mark.
Sure. Owning a small business, I work with budgets daily, monthly, annually. I think when you are spending your own dollars, you're much more conscientious about where that money is going. When you have to prioritize, are we going to hire a new employee, put a roof on the building? You have to make some of those decisions for where you're moving. And when it comes to the budget, I feel personal responsibility. We have 10 employees, to those people and their families, that I make the right decisions to continue our success and growth so that they can support their families. I think the priorities should be public safety, infrastructure first. Once those things are achieved and you have a plan for fixing roads, repairing buildings, that's a huge portion of the budget. Then it's looking at what as a community do we want next? Do you want to contribute to a bike path? Do you want to build a new facility? And what's the true expense to that? And so I think it really is about prioritizing and looking at we were all given a copy of the proposed budget. It's very thick, it's very detailed, and being able to go to people that do understand it and have those conversations about what do these numbers really mean, I think that's very important.
Great. Tyler.
You know, I have full confidence in the city's administration. Under Pat Henches, the city really does run like a business. And we have a soft government in Mankato. Council members and the mayor, they're very important members of government. And I'd like to work directly with the city administration to make sure that we're making the right choices. As I said in the last debate, we need to ensure that people's needs are met first. You know, I'd love to have a pedestrian bridge connecting a Land of Memories to Sibley Park. You know, an attraction like that. But first, we need to make sure that people's needs are met, that the streets are plowed, and that the garbage is taken out, and that no one goes to bed hungry. I think, you know, we need to ensure that before we do the fun stuff.
Great. Fardousa.
For me, it would be a learning curve. I'll be really honest. It would be something that I'm eager to learn. But first, for me, is what is more important: our roads, our infrastructure that we take care of in-house first, before we can look at anything else outside. But for me, it would be a learning curve, and I am eager to learn.
Great. Mark, your thoughts?
Well, after looking at 15 of these budgets, you're right, they're pretty complicated. One thing we do try to do, just like private businesses, we try to be competitive. In other words, we know that St. Cloud, Rochester, Moorhead, which is virtually the same size as Mankato, are growing their tax base at a certain rate. Okay, so we're trying to keep our tax under about 42%, so that and that's 42% of basically the amount of money that is available per property. And by growing our tax base, by having new businesses come here, by having new houses, we end up spreading that out so that we don't have to be jacking up everybody's taxes dramatically. I have not heard a lot of complaints since I've been on the city council about overwhelming taxes. I just had a friend of mine come up here from Omaha. They have a house valued at same as us. Their taxes are double. Mine's about $3,000, theirs are about $6,000. And it just amazed me. But that is very huge part of the way that the council thinks at this point in time. We're going to be going through a thing tonight called the CIP. It's a budget basically set aside for capital investments, okay? I was at a community thing yesterday, and a number of people down in Southview 2 want to get a hockey pond put on their John Genevares Park. They say they can do it real inexpensively, and the thing that we told them is, hey, the CIP is being acted on tonight. We will talk in your behalf, but the fact of the matter is, if it's relatively inexpensive, if there's some way we can get it approved, would your subdivision be willing to come up with some money to help us pay for it? Plus, they've got a guy down there that says he can do a lot of the maintenance. Well, that's what we're looking for. I mean, we're looking for these partnerships that save taxpayer dollars so that we don't have to jack up the taxes, like I said about the guy down in Omaha. You know, as long as we keep these partnerships and this competitive, I wouldn't call it an edge, but the competitive view of what's going on in Minnesota, I think we're going to be in good shape. And again, I don't hear a lot of complaints about taxes, so I'm pretty happy with the way things are going. And as long as we're able to keep that competitive edge.
Great. So I think the last question before we get to closing statements. If you're fortunate enough to get elected and you serve out your 4-year term or 8-year term or whatever your term ends up being, when you leave, what do you want your legacy to be? When the Free Press or the KEYC does the story on you at the end of your term and you're talking about your time on the council, what do you want the biggest thing for that media source to say about you? Jess Hatanpa did this. Mark did this. What do you want to be remembered for? Tyler, we'll start with you.
I'd like to be remembered as a leader who was compassionate, kind, caring, approachable, but above all else, courageous and willing to stand alone, if that's what I thought was right. I'd like everyone to know that, look back and realize the city is a much better place now than it was 4 years ago. I remember what it was like living in Mankato before we had this or we had that. And I don't necessarily need the recognition that I had anything to do with it, but I would just like the city to be a much better place by the time I leave office.
Jess, what do you want your legacy to be if you were to get elected?
It's not about me personally being remembered. It's that the feeling that I have growing up here and that I've watched the city go through Envision 2020 and watching leaders come together to collaborate on what we want the city to look like in the future and being a part of that and helping set the tone for where we're moving towards so that when my children are 20 and graduating college and deciding where they want to live, that they look at Mankato and say this is a great place with everything we need, great livability. It's a large town, but it has that small town feeling and the direction, it's headed in the right direction, and I want them to feel like my mom had something to do with that.
Great. Mark?
After 15 years in the city council, we have been through the ups and downs in the economy. The 2008 downturn, 2009. We've had to deal with stuff like that. We've kept the city moving forward. The biggest thing to me, if they're going to ask me about what, and again, it's not about me. You're representing 45,000 people here. This is not about you or me or anybody else. It's about the 45,000 people we represent. Being able to listen to these people, answer the phone. I mean, I've had phone calls from other wards at times when we had city council people that would not call them back. Going after things like that, making sure that people, you're going to deal with a lot of different issues that affect basically one or two people, or you're going to deal with a lot of issues that affect the whole population. Making sure that you prioritize to some extent and making sure that you can help as many people as you can without costing the city a reputation or a problem or anything like that. It's been a phenomenal gig. I can't complain about it. It's been my wife would like to move on in life, but that's just the way it is at this point in time. So as far as my legacy that I would like to see, I'd like to see the Mankato's growth, Mankato's success, attracting new businesses, Federated, the Walmart warehouse, number of different things. Our success in private partnerships, GMG, Bethany, MSU, we're doing partnerships with them on a lot of different things. And these are important functions of the city to make sure that if we're successful, they're successful. You've got to always have that attitude, okay? We want everybody in this city to be successful. That's all there is to it. You come to Mankato, you're going to have success, or you're going to have a chance at success. So that is huge. I mean, if anybody just came out and, hey, he made a successful city out of a somewhat successful city, I would be tickled pink with that.
Fardousa, what do you want your legacy to be if you were to serve?
For me, I want to be, it's not about me, how everybody said it. It really isn't. For me, it's what I would love to see is that I was able to bring passion, ignite the next generation to step up and get involved in their city government. To inspire the next person that says, I want to accomplish this for the city of Mankato. That is a badge of honor for our city, that we can spark unity, confidence, in our next generation, because that moves past me into the new generation, and it should reflect in the city that we live in. So for me, it is, I will be beyond me, just to see more diversity, more people standing up, especially our younger generation, because it takes a village to rise, and it takes a village to grow and prosper and move forward. And so what I hope to do is inspire the next generation to step up, to make a difference, to volunteer, to get involved to the best of your ability, because this is our home and we're in it together, and we can make it grow together. And our differences just makes us that much stronger. That's
Great.
what I would like to see.
Thank you. Well, we'll go to closing statements now. Tyler, this is started with you. We'll start with Fardousa on this side and go down the row.
Well, I hope you guys got to learn a little bit about me and why I'm running. I would love to see you guys, everybody to support. When I was going door knocking, I got to meet a lot of college students who are excited, who are passionate. I will bring that passion, that excitement of uniting us and moving our city forward, growing in a great prosperity. And also, I am ready to serve our community, to bring those voices forward. And I want to have that opportunity and chance. And if you believe in me, vote for me. Check out my website. It's Fardousa, forward with Fardousa, or Fardousa.com. All about me. And yeah, I would love to get you guys' support.
Great, thank you. Mark, your closing statement.
My closing statement. It's been a phenomenal 15, 16 years. Like I said, we've gone through the downturn in the 2008-2009 time, gotten through that, and now we're at a real prosperous time for the city. And I would like to continue that. I'd like to have your vote as a result of the prosperity and the success of this city, the direction we're going. We are also reaching out to every community that comes into this city and trying to make sure that they are comfortable and happy here. And also, we're trying to make sure that the quality of life issues, public safety, stuff for your children to do to make sure that you want to stay here, and things that you want to do, you know, at the Civic Center, at the auditorium, whatever. You know, you want to go to a concert, you want to go to a hockey game, you want to go to a fundraiser, whatever. It's available here in Mankato for you. You don't have to go to the cities. You don't have to go to Rochester. This is a great place to grow and live. I'm an example of that. I've had a phenomenal career as a pharmacist here, and I have raised a family very successfully here. I've got 3 sons that make more money than, I mean, I'm pretty proud of them. They're just phenomenal young men. So I just, yeah, I'd like to continue that success, and I'd ask for your vote. Thank you.
Great. Thanks. Jessica, your closing statement.
Yeah, again, I would like to fill the kind of void of the younger person, the person with a young family, the person who can be approachable and help with a lot of the issues, whether it's just in Ward 5 or the community as a whole. Knowing so many people and being so immersed in our community already, and how that kind of works together and moves the issues forward, helps solve the problems from childcare to housing to whatever that is, and be the voice for Ward 5. I know there's a lot of people who are excited and nervous that they're getting a new person regardless, and I definitely hope that that's me.
Great. Thanks. Tyler, your closing statement.
I'd just say, for those of you maybe twice my age who maybe think I'm a little too young, I can definitely understand that. November 6th is actually my 25th birthday. I would just like for it to be universally recognized that Mankato really is on the cusp of greatness. I think we have an opportunity to become a cultural and economic model of success for the entire region, and I would like to help us get there. I know we have a reputation as being a college town with a nightlife, and I would like our reputation as Mankato to be that of a historic river town that the entire region of southern Minnesota looks to, and I'd like your vote, so thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you to all of our candidates for joining us today, participating in this forum. I want to thank you all for tuning in. remind you to go vote on November 6th or before. Early voting is available. And you can get details on all of the resources you need to vote and information on candidates running in our community by going to greatermankatoelections.com.